Now, my mistress would be upset that I'm taking time to talk to y'all, but I just thought I'd let you know what's going on. The territory is trying to become a state. And we have heard some horrible things that was going to happen to us when the new Americans of Kentucky become in charge. Now, this is important in that, look at my mother, for example. She was born in 1760, and now at 1820, she's been under 3 governments, and each of these 3 governments has a different idea about slavery. When she was born under the French didn't believe in manumissions, that slaves should be free. They were very paternalistic. They treated their slaves like family. So they didn't believe in it. To them, it was like a parent asking for a divorce from a child, not having it. Now, the Spanish will come in 1762, when my mama is just in her 20s, and they do believe in manumissions. In fact, my mama was trying very hard to get the money to be able to buy her and us freedom, but she didn't make it. And then the Americans came in. And with them comes an intense form of slavery that will change everything. Under the Americans, we now have slave codes. We didn't have those before. We needed to be off the street by a certain time. My French grandparents I can't even visit them unless I have permission from the St. Louis government. Now that's kind of crazy, isn't it? But statehood, this is going to give us a whole bunch of new problems. For you see, one of the things that they want under this, they had to do something called a compromise. It seemed like half of the country didn't want Missouri to come in to the Union. Why? Because they wanted to come in as a slave state. Now the North, what we know as the North, didn't want another slave state. So all the men in Congress had to talk about it, and they come up with some type of agreement, and that they call the Missouri Compromise. Well, there are some good things in it, and there's some bad things in it. One of the things, they said that under the French, we had the Louisiana Purchase, of which my mama was born in. These people in Congress said only one slave state can come out of that Louisiana Purchase, and that's Missouri. And the rest of that land will be free. That is good news to us. However, you have to try to get there. Now, that's one of the things. The second thing is, every time Congress wants to add a new state, they just get the shivers thinking about going through this fight again. So what they did was they created a line at the bottom of Missouri, which they call the Mason-Dixon line. Now this is 3630 on the globe, whatever that means, but I heard the white folks talking about it. Anyway, now after Missouri, any state that wants to become a state, or any territory wants to become a state, anything north of that line, they're gonna come in as free. Anything south of that line, they're gonna come in as a slave automatically. And they think that they've solved this problem. I don't think so, though. There's a whole lot of land that's going to have to be made states. And Southern white folks, they want slavery everywhere. Now, another thing that's coming out of that Missouri Compromise, and this is what the North gets. The North wanted an avenue that slaves would be able to go through the courts to be able to fight for their freedom, which I think is a good thing. And because of that, they have something called the writ of habeas corpus. Now, a writ is when, for what I understand, is a piece of paper that the court sends out and says, they want to see something, bring me something. Well, the writ of habeas corpus means the body. They want to see a slave. They want to see something, or this particular slave, or whatever the case is about. And that's a good thing. Because without the writ of habeas corpus, I sincerely doubt any of us would ever see the inside of a courtroom. The other thing that is very important is something called once free, always free. Now, I like that one, but the problem is you got to be able to get free first. Now, what that means is that if, say, for example, my mistress in a fit of happiness would free me, none of her family could ever snatch me again and put me back into slavery. Once free, always free. And that's a good thing, because we hear all the time about free blacks just minding their business, and white folks kidnap them and put them back into slavery for money. It's a business. Well, the North tried to fix that, tried to stop that. So once free, always free. Now, going back to St. Louis and what this means here in Missouri, the Americans, they have all kind of laws to keep us from having any kind of rights at all. We can't ride horses in the city. We can't meet. I've got some really good white friends, because not all white people bad, and they can't come to my house. I can't go to your house, with their house, unless I have permission. Now, that ain't always been the way it is, and I don't think that's right. So we can't even, we used to have church together. Can't do that no more either. Well, sir, in that new Constitution, there's something really bad. Now, this is the bad part about it. The rumor is that they don't want free blacks to live in the state of Missouri. There's over 1,000 of them. Like Miss Pelagie Rutker, she rich. She rich as any of the white people. Now, what's going to happen to her when this new Constitution come in and free black people can't live here? Nobody know. But nobody know for sure that that's in there. But that's what the rumors say. But there's something else that's in there that's really kind of strange in a way. It said that blacks, slaves, can sue in the courts as indigent people. Now, I had to ask my mistress what that meant. And first she slapped me, and then she told me what it meant. Wanted to know why I wanted to know. And she said, that poor people. And I said, well, I certainly fit that. But what the Constitution says that slaves can sue as indigent people if their master has maimed them or is extremely, extremely cruel. And what that indigent meant is that the court would get you a lawyer. I think that's a good thing. But me personally, I don't think any slave that's going to sue his master is going to live long enough for that case to get to court. We don't know what's going to happen. We're not exactly sure what's in it. All we can really do is just wait. Oh no, my mistress is coming. I'm better shut up and start working.